Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be doing some more rocket science in Trailmakers, which is why I'm in the test map. And I don't mean like real rocket science, like with math and physics and stuff. I mean like pretend rocket science with pretend math and pretend physics. In all seriousness, I'm going to be testing rocket damage effects and how various other factors can affect the rocket damage, like shields or speed for that matter, because one of the recent rocket science experiments that we did on this channel is we found out just how much the conservation of momentum applies to rockets. So when I'm going fast, the rocket goes faster. But when I'm going fast backwards, you can actually see the rocket kind of doesn't go fast anymore. It actually drops straight down if you match the velocity of a rocket. Because the rocket doesn't actually function like a rocket. It functions more like a cannonball, meaning that it doesn't actually have its own propulsion, despite it looking like it has its own propulsion with a smoke trail and everything. It's actually just going at a constant velocity, not accelerating. But I saw a comment on a recent video where we did single-engine fighter plane dogfights, and there was a point in that video where I was falling out of the sky, and then I got hit with a rocket while I was falling, and it didn't really seem to do nearly as much damage. Oh, wow, that did not a lot. And a comment pointed out that, was this due to the fact that when I'm going away from the rocket, that the rocket is hitting me at a slower relative velocity? Does that mean that it actually does less damage? Or did it maybe just happen to hit a more durable part at that point? So that is one of the things I really want to test, is if I charge at something and fire the rocket, is it going to do more damage than if I fire the rocket and it comes out at a slower relative speed? So one of the ways I want to do that is, obviously I'm going to be using this thing, but what am I going to be using to measure how much damage is done? Well, I thought about this, and I think the best solution I came up with is I'm going to build a cube out of cubes. And then we can measure how many cubes of damage gets taken out of the larger cube. Let's see how much damage a single rocket does to that. The rocket should automatically aim at center mass. So let's see how much damage this thing does when I'm just standing still. Okay, that is interesting. It is not as consistent as I would expect it to be, because you would expect that if the impact point was right in the center. All right, I'm just going to activate the time mod. I'm not actually going to be using it, but the reason why is because now when I press F4, I have a little fancy mouse cursor. So I would expect if my impact zone was here, I would expect all of this to kind of have similar damage, but it seems to skip some blocks and then get more damage out here. You know what would be more scientific? We need to do multiple trials. A single test is just not adequate. We need to compare consistency. We need to see if we can replicate results or figure out if there's a lot of variance into how the damage is applied. All right, here we go. So I'm gonna fire at this cube. All right, there we go. That looks kind of similar. A little bit similar. All right, I mean, my distance also probably makes a difference too, and it's kind of hard to... Oh, it looks like the impact point changed there a little bit. All right, aim at this one. Oh, that was interesting. I was actually moving backwards very, very slightly. Here, let me just stand right here. Okay, wow. This is gonna be harder than I expected. Like, this one did virtually no damage. I mean, oh, wait, what? There's a block taken out there? This one has a block taken out there, and there? This one is all on the front panel? Okay. Yeah, this is going to be a lot harder to measure than I expected because the results are very, very variable. Variable. Okay, so let's take an average of these four. So it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm only going to count the blocks that it destroys. So 5 blocks, 1... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What? Okay, there's actually more consistency than I expected. Here, let me repair this one real quick. And let's try this one again, because maybe that was just, because I was moving backwards on that one. Maybe that one just wasn't a good test. All right, let's count it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. When I thought there was a whole bunch of inconsistency and variability, there's actually a speck of consistency in here. More than a speck. Every single one of these right now have exactly 5 blocks removed. That is weirdly consistent. Let's move on to the shield aspect. Let me add shields to these things. All right, now every single surface is covered in a shield. All right, so 5 blocks was pretty consistent last time. Let's see what happens now. Okay, so this makes things more complicated because are blocks damaged behind the shields? The shields I will paint transparent. So now there are shield blocks, but they are transparent, so we will be able to see damage underneath them. Let's see what happens now. Okay, so here we go. Oh, there is a block that got taken out. So it looks like that took out the shield and the block. That took out the shield and the block, I believe. Because I was always curious, if you have shields, how vulnerable are the blocks underneath to the blast radius? It looks like 2 blocks got taken out. So let me just do another explosion here. I'm not going to repair the original block. Another 2 got taken out. All right, I'm going to repair this one. It seems like so far, about 2 blocks is what we're working with for the shielded cube. All right, ready? All right, let's see. 1, 2. I am so surprised at the consistency here. Another one, so that's 3 total. 4. Okay, each one of those, I've done 4 separate shots that have all had 2 blocks of damage underneath the shields get taken out. So the shields against the rockets seem to block about half the damage to the build if your entire build is covered in shields. At least as far as the rocket test goes, I'm actually really curious now. Let me delete this rocket real quick and let me just see. This will be a little bit more of an objective measure because an explosion is it's so difficult to be consistent with an explosion. If I use a smart cannon instead, I can fire individual bullets at these blocks and I can see the difference. All right, let me use this cube. I'm gonna delete all of the shield blocks from this cube. So let's see how many shots, and are these shots even gonna be the same or hit the same spot? How many shots does it take? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 4. Is that consistent? Okay, 4 shots per one of those cubes. How much does it take to get through a 2x2 shield block? Let's see. That was 2 shots there, so we're at 6 now. Did I count 15? Plus the 4 for the block underneath. Okay, shields versus machine guns. Very effective. Let me just try that one more time. I counted 15 shots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14. I counted 14 that time. Okay, 14 or 15. I think 14 makes more sense. I feel like even numbers just make more sense for these particular shield blocks. So obviously shield blocks are way, way, way more durable than the blocks underneath. Especially when it comes to machine gun fire, rockets might be a little bit more inconsistent, but I got one more test to do with the rockets that I think is going to be a little bit simpler. So on average, the rockets seem to destroy 4 blocks of the 2x2x2 squares, at least. Now, what happens if that's all there is? Just exactly that number. It should destroy all of this. Okay. That did not destroy all of it. That destroyed 3 out of the 4, and that one is severely damaged. I feel like that just has that slight little bit of variability where it could probably destroy all 4, depending. Let's try this again. Okay, that's 3 consistently now. All right, here we go. 3 again. All right, but if these particular ones have shields just on the front face, mind you, just on the front face, does this change what happens? Is it going to be 3 or none? Okay, 2. So it does seem to like kind of divide the rocket effect in half if it hits a shield, but It's not perfectly safe. The rockets definitely have a decent impact on shielded blocks. A much stronger effect than the machine guns have, for sure, which makes sense. But I mean, the ratio between the shielded and non-shielded is a much smaller gap between the amount of protection that you're going to get. Let's do the test I've been really curious about, is the velocity test. Does the velocity of the rocket change how much damage it does? So one more time here. There should be 4 blocks missing. 1, 2. Why do we have inconsistency now? I had 4 blocks like 4 times in a row before. Let's try again. 1, 2, 3, 4. That time there was 4. Okay. One other factor to consider. Distance. Because if I'm driving, it's going to be really hard to get the distance consistent. But does that matter? All right, so if I'm a couple more quadrants away. That's still 4? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so how far away I am doesn't really seem to matter that much, which, as far as the velocity hypothesis goes, makes sense. Because whether I'm right up against it or 300 feet back, the rocket has a constant velocity, so that should not change. But now, if I back up while I fire the rocket, is that going to be a weaker effect? Let's find out. All right, 3, 2, 1, back up, fire. Okay, it's harder because now the accuracy is having an issue, but look at this, 4 blocks. All right, I have another, I'm going to go faster backwards. And I'm going to start. Okay, this is going to be hard to do, but I'm going to start up here. I'm just going to back up. And then once it locks on, then I'm going to fire. Here we go. We're going to be going much faster now. Okay, now that's a problem. I was going too fast. The rocket didn't have any forward propulsion. All right, maybe like just over 100. Here we go. There we go. We got a hit. All right, and it looks like 1, 2, what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That did more damage when technically the relative speed to the target was a lot slower. Okay, well, what if I'm zooming at the target then, and I zoom right by it? This should do a lot more damage if the hypothesis is correct. That was a good hit too. A lot of speed, good hit. I'm seeing 4 blocks on the, whoops. Rails are not the right button to get out of the car. I was seeing 4 blocks on the ground. 1, 2, 3, 4. That is the exact amount of damage you would expect if velocity does not have an impact. But let's do a couple of trials here. See if we can no, don't aim at that one. Aim at the closer one. All right, can we get more than 4 or 5? Because we've also gotten 5 from some experiments. All right, I was pretty much doubling the rocket speed there. The rocket speed's around 285 kilometers an hour. I was going 285 kilometers an hour, which means we were adding that to the rocket speed. And I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks missing. And that is it. 4 blocks seems to be the amount of damage a rocket can do on just a standard hit. I don't know, that one time it did 5. I don't know what caused that 5, but it just seemed like a luck of the draw on that one. But mostly, a rocket does 4 square blocks of damage. Like, look at that. You can't ask for a more perfect hit than that. It was right in the center. And 1, 2, 3. Oh, look at this. Another variable. Potentially. There could be a bottom block. Here, let me... Look at that. There is a bottom block. It's still 4 blocks. I actually wasn't expecting it to be there. I saw 3 blocks and I was like, oh, we did less damage that time. But nope, exactly the same amount of damage. So I think that is myth busted right there. I think the rocket velocity seems to have no impact on the damage that it is able to do. I think what's more important is going to be where it hits. Does it hit a shield block? Does it hit a normal block? Does it hit a weak block? Because I can pretty much guarantee if I cover this thing in the equivalent hitbox of wedge blocks, that we're going to see a lot more than 4 of these things get destroyed. So I'm just going to cover the face and see how this works. I think wedge blocks are a lot weaker than your standard building block. I don't know why I'm going anymore. The damage doesn't make a difference. But here we go. Okay, well, that is not the result I was expecting. The one thing about these that is really inconsistent is damage propagation is super hard to read. You know what needs to happen for this to be right? I need to build a cube out of wedge blocks. So it needs to be 5 by 5. All right, I couldn't figure out how to make it 5 by 5, but I can make it 5 by 5 by 4 as far as a hitbox goes. So I'm gonna see what happens with this. This is complicated. All right, here we go. Direct hit. Okay, well, oh my god. Okay, well now the attachment points of these things are so like you can't do it the right way. They're not all attached at all sides, so there's too many variables in this experiment. I don't know how to do this. How do I make a wedge-based thing where everything is gonna be attached? I don't know, like maybe this is actually the closest block. Can I make a 5 by 5 of this? Maybe. This might actually be doable. Okay, this is a cube. Everything's attached on all sides. Okay, good, good, good. Here we go. Okay, that is more than 4. Yes, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That was 7. 7 blocks I counted that were on the ground. It's going to be much harder to see the amount of damage that's been done by looking at the cube itself, but you can count all of the stray pieces that fly off, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that time. Part of me, I think, fell off as well. All right, try this again, a little bit more of a distance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, there's also potentially the underside. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm seeing 6 again that time, but there could be something hiding right in like the center of this as well. The squares are about 4 blocks. The wedges of an equivalent size, at least as near as possible, are about 6 blocks of damage. And then when it comes to shielded blocks, it seems about 2 blocks of damage. And velocity of the rocket appears to not matter at all, which I'm assuming, I think it's pretty safe to assume that the velocity of the bullets, assuming that the bullets also retain conservation of momentum, I think it's pretty safe to assume that if the rocket doesn't enhance damage with velocity, then I don't think that the bullets are going to enhance damage with velocity either. So I feel like that's pretty reliable and conclusive. I mean, as best as I'm going to get with Trailmakers today right now. But it does seem like the best weapon of all it was you all along. Just ram into whatever you want to destroy. All right, hold on. I want to go as fast as I can into the remains of this thing and see what happens. Yeah, so destruction derby style seems to be the most efficient method. It's going to be you or them. Either way, a lot of blocks are going to get damaged. All right, well, if you guys have any other experiments you'd like to see in Trailmakers, let me know down in the comments below. If you guys enjoyed this video, you'll probably enjoy some more that you can find right here on the end screen. Hope this video has earned your subscription. Anyway, this has been ScrapMan, and I'll see you next time. Bye.